The courthouse towers over the peaceful town like a disciplinarian sentinel. Its stone facade appears to murmur hushed secrets long concealed behind closed doors. Within, the atmosphere is thick with expectation, and each chair in the courtroom is filled. Reporters write notes furiously. Cameras are set up at strategic points, and a crowd of witnesses waits, eyes agape, breath bated. In the background, Kody Brown enters, his movements deliberate but unsure. He tugs at his tie, his hands shaking a bit, a subtle nuance that contradicts the turmoil in his mind. Robin is seated in the front row, her hands clasped firmly in her lap. Her eyes shine with unshed tears, catching the light of the chandeliers. She regards Kody with hope, fear, and weariness. In the background, Christine's arms are folded, her jaw clenched like steel. Her eyes never leave him, a silent accusation suspended with each beat of her heart. Janelle, ever the observer, stands quietly, her back stiff, disguising the emotional struggle going on within her. Mary sits several rows behind, her face a mask of blankness, but calculation, as if attempting to foresee the result of a contest only she is privy to. The judge bangs the gavel, silencing the buzz of the room. Silence falls at once, a charged stillness that makes each intake of air a loud sound. This is not just a trial. It's a battleground on which family honor butts heads with treachery. The prosecutor stands, serene but with an intensity sharp enough to cut. "Mr. Brown," the lawyer continues, voice firm, "tell me about your relationship with each of your wives." "Begin with Robin." Kody swallows hard, the action visible even under the blinding lights of cameras. "Robin, she has been my wife for more than 15 years, he begins, voice low but firm. "We have created a life together, but it's complicated." Christine slouches forward, the word complicated cutting the air. "Complicated," she says curtly, her voice dripping with indignation. "You mean you've been keeping secrets, Kody? Secrets that you thought we didn't realize?" Robin lunges for her tissue, her hand closing tightly over it as her knuckles grow white. "Christine, please." She breathes, but Christine is not finished yet. Her eyes are blazing with a fury that can melt steel. The prosecutor sets a stack of documents on the table. "These are letters between Mr. Brown and his wives over the last 6 months, the lawyer explains. "Some indicate manipulation, secrecy, and unilaterally making decisions for the family." "Mr. Brown, can you tell us about these?" Kody pauses, eyes scanning the pages, fingers shaking as he riffled through them. I was trying to protect everyone," he admits, ensuring no one was hurt. "I didn't intend to hurt anyone." His voice breaks a little, a moment of humanity that spreads through the room. The camera cuts to Janelle, sitting stiff, fists curled in her lap. Her expression is calm, but on the inside, she's panicking. She's prepared for an argument, but the harshness of what's happening is worse than she'd envisioned. Christine never takes her eyes off Kody, the tension mounting as if she's challenging him to speak up. Robin's eyes shine with a blend of sorrow and determination, which she tries to maintain. The lawyer goes on, speaking measuredly, "Mr. Brown, the court will demand clear answers. Let us start with your interactions with Christine." Christine stands, voice shaking but keen with contained anger. "It wasn't messages only," she bites. "It was decisions taken without me, vows broken, moments when I realized I wasn't even in the family I had helped create." Her words slice through the tension, the courtroom hanging on each syllable as if the walls could recapture her anguish. Outside the courtroom, there are whispers in the hallway. Cameramen and reporters shoot each other knowing glances, eyes wide with knowledge that what is happening is not everyday family feud. Each disclosure, each utterance said here can shock viewers across the country. The first witness is summoned, a family friend for years. Their testimony is like pouring gasoline on a smoldering ember, describing times of tension, silent betrayals, and small lies that the cameras didn't catch. Each sentence hits hard, emphasizing the already tense silence. Kody's face clenches with every disclosure, the weight of his past choices bearing down like a vice. Robin squirms in her seat, silently weeping as she describes moments of silent betrayal and shattered trust. Christine's voice breaks occasionally, a painful cutting edge, a harsh contrast to the muted anguish of Robin. Janelle sits forward, inner turmoil etched on her face, wrestling with loyalty, love, and justice. The air grows thick with the revelation of emails and letters, evidence of Kody's secret messages. All of them are like another fissure appearing in a dam, on the verge of releasing a deluge of repercussions. The courtroom bears witness to each detail, tension growing in waves that can be felt. Throughout the course of the session, flashbacks punctuate the story, Kody making decisions in secret, silent battles in the kitchen, softly spoken promises undone. The viewers are ushered into intimate moments of remorse and manipulation, each recollection heightening the tension. The judge ultimately calls a short recess. The courtroom slowly drains, leaving behind a palpable atmosphere of discomfort, hints of secrets unspoken hanging in the air. Kody exits, a deep breath escaping his chest. Robin trails behind, white-faced, eyes cast downward. Christine and Janelle exchange a strained glance down the hall, quiet but loaded with significance. The tension doesn't subside even in the quieter moments. The family members withdraw to isolated corners, faces shadowed by concern, betrayal, and incredulity. Kody's guilt is eating at him with each beat of his heart. Robin grapples with loving versus betraying, and Christine's anger seethes, waiting to boil over at any second. The last few minutes of Session 1 focus on anticipation. The judge, with careful consideration, threatens that the next session will bring forth papers and testimonies nobody, not even Kody, is prepared for. The camera lingers over the faces of each wife, expressing fear, anger, and sadness in one shot. Kody exits the courtroom, not knowing behind closed doors Robin has found a bombshell revelation. A revelation which can destroy the delicate trust that exists and spark a family war no one will ever forget. The courthouse doors open again, but the atmosphere within them is heavier than before. The room is more subdued than normal, but beneath the calm exterior, tension winds itself up like a snake in wait. Kody Brown enters, shoulders slightly rounded, the weight of the last session bearing down on him. His gaze flits to each of his wives, seeking signs, seeking understanding, seeking forgiveness, but receiving only suspicion, ire, and wary sadness. Robin sits with her fists knotted in her lap, lips compressed. Christine's gaze is a laser, slicing through Kody as if she might untangle his secrets merely by looking at him. Janelle and Mary exchange soft, measured glances, their faces unyielding but full of anticipation. The judge brings the session to order and tension permeates the room. The prosecutor stands, a thin smile of repressed pleasure etched on their face. Ladies and gentlemen, today we bring forward communications and documents which have been kept from this court, they declare. The words float in the air like smoke, choking, unbearable to avoid. We shall see how Mr. Brown's decisions have influenced the very fabric of this family. Kody swallows. He senses the gazes of his wives searing into him, and even the audience is quiet, as if the whole room holds its collective breath. Robin's hands shake a little, betraying her attempts at calmness. Christine tilts forward, low but piercing voice whispering on the wind. Finally, the truth comes out. The prosecution starts presenting evidence, messages, emails, and notes that have passed between Kody and his wives. On the surface, the messages seem harmless, normal. But when the attorney speaks them out loud, a pattern becomes clear: favoritism, manipulation, and decisions that were intentionally kept from the other wives. Robin's face twists in a small crinkle as one message comes up where Kody promises one wife a secret plan without discussing it with the others. "I just wanted to keep everyone safe," he mumbles, voice barely audible. Christine cuts in sharply, her voice ringing out across the courtroom: "Keep or dominate?" Her tone is a knife cut, prompting gasps from the gallery. The courtroom shifts once more as an unexpected witness is called, a longtime family friend who has observed the Browns for years. Their testimony is one of silent manipulation and emotional abandonment, of Kody making independent decisions that have a ripple effect on all the relationships in the family. "He always thought he knew best," the witness states, voice strained with emotion. But the truth is, it hurt everyone. Janelle shifts uncomfortably in her seat. Her loyalty battles with her sense of justice, and the conflict shows in the slight tightening of her jaw and the way she grips her purse. Mary's calm exterior begins to crack. She fidgets, hands twisting in her lap, evidence of the growing tension inside her. The prosecution introduces another piece of evidence, a series of text messages Kody sent secretly to Christine. Each is a combination of reassurance and covert coercion, meant to keep her in line while disregarding the other's needs. The room is hushed except for the quiet rustle of paper and the distant murmur of a photographer fiddling with a camera. Christine's hands shake as she absorbs each statement, a combination of treachery and incredulity crossing her countenance. Robin bites her lip, attempting to remain calm. Her gaze darts to Kody, a tempest of love, pain, and rage behind them. She remembers the quiet nights, the whispered apologies, the moments where she thought their family was safe, only to realize that much of what she believed was built on secrecy. The session intensifies as Kody is questioned directly about a secret family decision that he made months earlier. The attorney's voice is firm, leaving no room for evasion. "Mr. Brown, why would you decide this without all of your wife's input?" Kody gasps hard, shoulders drooping under the burden of exposure. I thought it was best for everyone," he continues, his voice tight. "I didn't want conflict, but I see now that I caused so much more than I meant to." Christine stands, her eyes blazing. "Best for everyone," she echoes, voice full of sarcasm and hurt. "You never asked what we wanted. You never cared about us." Her words hang in the room like thunder, and, for an instant, all else recedes. The emotional stakes skyrocket when the court mentions financial records. Kody made financial decisions about family cash and assets in private, some wives getting preferred treatment over others. The stakes are monumental. Robin's mouth falls open in stunned silence. Christine's hands clutch the tabletop. Janelle's eyes fold in incredulity. Each wife is confronted with a truth that dissolves trust and makes loyalty complicated. Flashbacks interweave effortlessly into courtroom action, depicting Kody in backroom talks, softly engineering choices, whispering guarantees, and at times, guaranteeing results that failed to appear. These flashbacks are raw and direct, providing audiences an intimate glimpse into the emotional repercussions. Robin, at last on the verge of a breakdown, stands from her seat. I can't believe this," she whispers, her voice cracking. "I trusted you. I trusted all of us." And now, she dissolves into tears, sobbing uncontrollably. Christine's reply is quick, bordering on accusatory. "We all trusted you, Kody. And look where that got us." Her words reverberate within the courtroom, bearing the weight of years of pent-up anger and disappointment. Janelle moves closer, her voice even but with a steel edge. "We must have truth. We must have transparency. Not only for us, but for the entire family." Her words are tempered, a request for clarity in the midst of chaos, but even they do not ease the growing tension. The session plods on with a concentration on Kody's testimony. His voice trembles on occasion, the weight of scrutiny bearing down. The camera takes close-ups of his fingers, shaking, tightly clenched, proof of the inner turmoil. He narrates intimate moments of remorse, efforts at reconciliation, and the inner battle that dictated his decisions. The judge admonishes a quick recess, and the courtroom slowly drains. There are whispers in the air as staff and onlookers guess what happens next. Kody sits for a moment, fingers in temples, struggling with guilt and fear. Robin slips out quietly, wiping at her eyes, as Christine comes at him full force from across the room. Janelle and Mary share hesitant glances, both struggling to comprehend the implications of the revelations, the cracks in the family really starting to form all over again. As the doors shut behind the final of the onlookers, the camera sweeps across the courtroom, showcasing vacant seats, strewn pieces of paper, and a stillness that appears heavy with unspoken words. The viewer can sense the storm on the brink of breaking, a storm that will not just strain family ties, but challenge all loyalty, all trust, and all promises built up over the years. At the conclusion of the session, a sealed envelope is handed to the judge. Within is a secret Kody never wanted to be exposed, a paper that may destroy the family's tenuous balance and spark a fight no one will ever remember. The courtroom feels heavier today, as if the very air has thickened with the weight of unspoken truths. Kody Brown steps into the room, his expression drawn, shoulders tense, and every movement betrays the anxiety gnawing at him. His gaze sweeps across the room, Robin sitting stiffly, face pale and eyes shadowed with hurt, Christine's stare razor-sharp, burning with indignation and betrayal, Janelle's composure fragile, like a dam about to break, Mary's calm exterior masking a storm brewing beneath. Every step Kody takes echoes in the silent chamber, a reminder that the past has finally caught up with him. The judge raps the gavel, cutting through tension like a lightning bolt, and suddenly all eyes are on Kody. Today is not like the other days. The past sessions had exposed secrets, hints, and whispers. Today, those silhouettes will become flesh, and the emotional repercussions will burst like a tidal wave. The prosecution stands, a contained but sharp intensity in her voice. We now present evidence that shows the emotional effect of Mr. Brown's choices on his wives. The court will hear directly how trust, loyalty, and love have been strained. The room is still, save for the quiet rustle of papers, but underlying the peacefulness, a storm rages. Robin fidgets in her chair, her fists tightening. Memories play out in her mind, sleepless nights of uncertainty, questioning whether Kody really comprehended the gravity of his decisions, hushed regrets that sounded insincere at times, vows made in silence broken. Her face reflects a blend of sadness, fear, and anger. Christine's eyes are pinched, catching a glimpse of disbelief and seething fury. Janelle clamps her jaw, her thoughts computing how each new secret might change the dynamics of the family. The first witness called is a household manager who has worked with the family for years. Their testimony is delicate but damning. "I've watched the tension build over years," the witness says softly. "Decisions were made behind closed doors. Some wives were informed, others were left in the dark. The effect on their emotional well-being was significant." Kody's hands tremble slightly as he clasps them together. The responsibility weighs heavy upon him, and his normally measured face cracks for the briefest moment. Robin breathes softly, fighting back tears, while Christine leans forward, every muscle in her body taut, a tightly coiled spring of anger and pain. The tone of the courtroom grows dark as the prosecution presents private diaries and letters, each one bearing the private thoughts and frustrations of Kody's wives. Robin's journal entries indicate a woman caught between love and self-esteem, trying to weigh her commitment to the pain of secrecy. Christine's writing is starker, with frustration and betrayal, challenging decisions Kody made unilaterally. Janelle's writing shows silent struggle, loyalty, and love fighting against her sense of justice. The camera zooms in on Kody as he listens. Every word is like a hammer to his chest, every discovery a dagger turning in his conscience. He opens his mouth, trying to justify, but the words catch in his throat. I never wanted it to hurt anyone," he says, the words barely audible. Christine is no longer able to restrain herself. "Never meant," she fires back, her words ringing in the courtroom. "You made decisions that impacted all of us and didn't even offer us a shot at being included in those decisions." Her cheeks are reddened with emotion, hands trembling as she gesticulates emphatically. The gallery gasps at her ferocity, and the judge himself stops, recognizing the palpable energy in the room. Robin hunches forward, tears streaming. "I kept believing in all of us, in this family," she weeps. "And now I don't know if that was enough." Her statement hangs in the air, heavy with sorrow and anger. The second witness is a remote relative who has been watching the family from the sidelines. Their testimony introduces a shocking element: Kody's private actions that deliberately favored one wife over the others in financial and personal decisions. The courtroom reacts audibly, murmurs ripple through the gallery, and the tension spikes. Janelle grips the edge of her seat, her knuckles white, trying to process what she's hearing. Mary's calm facade slips for just a moment, revealing her quiet horror. Cody's composure falters as the witness describes a home dinner where vows were exchanged with Christine, but not told the other wives. The facts are intimate, specific, and incriminating. Robin's eyes cast downward, her hands gripped together, attempting to keep herself together as waves of betrayal flood over her. Christine's stare is unyielding, directed at Kody like a blowtorch that could melt steel. The proceedings heat up with the introduction of audio recordings, excerpts of conversations that disclose subtle manipulation, coaxing, and emotional coercion. The subtlety of these exchanges is appalling. Cody's efforts to shield the family seem in retrospect as calculated maneuvering, leaving the wives bewildered by his real motives. Robin's weeping is soft but persistent, saturating the air with the raw emotion of a betrayed woman. Christine's voice rises once more, sharper this time, angrier, her words laced with accusations that hang long after she speaks them. Janelle's face sets, trying to reconcile the man she loves with the manipulations she now sees laid open before her. The prosecution continues, offering up a stream of emails Kody sent to Robin, intimate, emotional, and yet laced with manipulations. The emails reveal promises never kept, assurances broken, and trying to force outcomes without asking the others. The gallery leans forward in rapt attention. Cody's eyes flick nervously, guilt and fear deeply etched on his face. The room becomes charged as Christine stands again, her finger gesturing towards Kody. "How do we know we can trust you after all this? How do we even know what is true?" Her voice carries with a mixture of rage and sorrow, every syllable aflame in an already combustible room. Robin smudges away her tears, shaking, and Janelle's hands tremble slightly as she clutches her notebook. The emotional impact reaches its climax when the court summons a child of the family to testify about seeing tension in the family. The child's voice is soft, tentative, but compelling in its directness. "I just want everyone to be happy," they whisper. The naked, pure entreaty rings deeply, adding to the emotional intensity of the trial. Cody's eyes get teary, Robin grips her heart, and even Christine stumbles, caught short by the innocence of the words. Flashbacks are interwoven like a seamless fabric, late-night quiet times at home, clandestine telephone calls, furtive late-night talks. These flashbacks establish clarity and tragedy, revealing the audience how a string of small decisions mounted to enormous emotional repercussions. The meeting is almost over, but the force of it does not let up. Kody remains in silence, head downcast, aware the waters of emotional repercussions have only just begun to rise. The judge requests a short recess, but the tempest has already taken hold. In the hallway, hushed tones reveal the seething anger, alliances being forged, and unstated intentions simmering among the wives. Robin dabs away her tears, attempting to compose herself. Christine scowls silently, planning her next step. Janelle breathes slowly, her face a blend of sadness and resolve. Mary clasps her hands, looking serene, yet her eyes reveal the conflict within. Every one of them is dealing with the emotional destruction in their own manner, each waiting for what's ahead. Cliffhanger. Just as the courtroom begins to clear out, a secret envelope is handed to the judge. It contains a revelation Kody never expected, a fact that can crush trust forever and fuel arguments the family might never get over. The courtroom is colder today, but the air is electric with heat, the heat of accusation, sorrow, and expectation. Kody Brown enters, his body tensed in every muscle, his steps paced as if the floor might go out from under him. Robin is in the front row, eyes red from crying and lack of sleep, hands shaking a little as they cling to the armrest. Christine slouches forward, glare unwavering, arms crossed rigidly over her chest like armor. Janelle and Mary sit edged apart, watching cautiously, each burdened by what they know and what they dread is about to unfold. The judge raps the gavel, cutting through tension like a sharp knife. "Today's testimonies will proceed," the judge states, voice solid, echoing in the courtroom. Previous sessions' evidence brought up will now be thoroughly examined, including private communications and hidden documents. Kody swallows, a bead of sweat forming at his temple. He shifts nervously, aware of the eyes upon him. Each wife reacts differently, Robin's lips press tightly together, holding in her frustration. Christine's eyes narrow, a storm brewing behind them. Janelle leans slightly forward, jaw tight, trying to anticipate the next revelation. Mary's expression remains calm but unreadable, an iceberg beneath placid waters. The prosecution stands, holding before it a collection of documents entitled Confidential Family Communications. The air in the room becomes heavy, the tension almost too much to bear. These messages, the lawyer starts, tell us a pattern of preferential treatment and discretion. There were choices made by Mr. Brown that involved some wives without informing the others. Cody's hand shakes a little as he riffles through the papers. I thought I was assisting, he says softly, voice shaking. I didn't mean to hurt anybody. Christine jumps up, her tone cool and accusatory. Assisting? You withheld information. You promised things to some of us, but completely left others out. That's unacceptable assistance, Kody. That's betrayal. Her words cut into the heavy silence, eliciting a collective gasp from the courtroom. The prosecution brings out a string of emails and text messages. One by one, each of them shows up subtle manipulation, secret deals, and emotional domination. Cody's attempts to protect his family are laid bare as deliberate favoritism, and the courtroom reacts audibly. Robin gasps softly. Christine's hands clench the edge of the table, and even Janelle shifts uneasily in her seat. The room grows dark as the judge summons a reading of a very personal email. It's from Kody to Christine, talking about some secret financial deal he did on his own without checking with the others. Christine's jaw drops in shock, her breath hung up in her throat. You did this. Without us, she is shaking, but cuts voice. Robin drops her eyes, mouth clenched tight, silently dealing with the emotional whammy of another secret kept. The tension builds as a surprise witness is brought in, a longtime assistant who has worked for the family. His testimony indicates that Cody's favoritism wasn't just about financial decisions. It reached into household arrangements, daily routines, and even social outings, quietly isolating some wives while promoting others. Janelle breathes slowly, her face calm but eyes betraying shock. Mary's calm facade cracks for an instant, a flash of understanding passing across her face. The courtroom is charged, the tension palpable, each discovery driving the family closer to emotional breaking points. Robin stands, silent tears streaming down her face. I thought we were a team, she whispers, breaking voice. I thought we weathered life together. But now, I think I've been battling by myself. Her voice rings out in the room, each syllable a witness to heartache and betrayal. Christine rises too, face red with rage. We trusted you, Kody, she says, voice shaking but firm. We had faith in this family, in what we were to each other, and you destroyed it. Her voice is accusatory and sorrowful, a dual quality that takes hold of everyone in the room. The prosecution calls forward a confidential ledger showing preferential allocations of money and resources, secretly documented by Kody. Each entry reveals bias, careful planning, and emotional manipulation. The courtroom collectively reacts. Robin's hands fly to her face in shock. Christine's jaw tightens, Janelle's eyes widen, and Mary's calm exterior is punctured by a subtle tightening of her lips. Kody tries to justify, voice shaking. I didn't know how it would be. I just wanted to avoid strife, to keep everyone safe. But the words sound insincere in the tense air. The wives look at one another, some angry, some regretful, each measuring an increasing rift in the family's foundation. Flashbacks cut through the courtroom drama, revealing Kody in intimate moments, whispering reassurances, exchanging furtive promises, and making plans that are hidden from the other wives. They expose the nuanced manipulation that had accumulated over years, festering into tension and resentment that now explodes in public. The drama peaks as the confidential, do not open envelope is passed to the judge. Everyone leans in, hearts pounding. The judge slowly opens it, reading the contents. Murmurs pass through the courtroom as the meaning of the information is realized. The paper has plans, messages, and proof of decisions Kody made in secrecy, such as actions that specifically benefited one wife over the rest. Robin's shoulders sag, chest quivering with emotion. Christine white-knuckles the table edge, her eyes bulging in shock turning to rage. Janelle's eyes go wide, her control struggling to hold. Even Mary, normally calm, fidgets, her thoughts racing through the ramifications. The judge's gavel cracks, trying to get the proceedings back in order. The court accepts receipt of this document, the judge declares, voice calm but strained. Its contents will be read carefully, and subsequent proceedings will take its implications into account. The emotional ramifications are instant. Kody freezes, eyes on the table, a man caught in the maelstrom of his own creation. Robin dabs at her tears with shaking hands, muttering under her breath, "How could you do this?" Christine's voice increases once more, laced with pain and fury, all we ever believed lost. "How could you turn against all of us like this?" The courtroom slowly clears, the air thick with unfinished business. Kody exits, face ashen, hands shaking a little. Robin stays behind, tears streaming, as Christine sits at the table, sifting through each disclosure in anger, tears, and incredulity. Janelle and Mary hesitate for an instant, each giving the other a silent look, each considering the repercussions of what had just been said. Outside, the corridors are filled with whispers. Reporters wonder aloud about the psychological damage, employees share anxious looks, and the audience seated in the room and watching from home feel that the family's foundation has been irreparably shattered. The camera glides over the deserted courtroom, catching its eye on scattered documents, deserted chairs, and the palpable tension that pervades the space even without humans. The burden of deceit hangs heavy in the air, a storm cloud about to burst in the next hearing. Cliffhanger. A secret, final message is found on Kody's phone, one that may spark battles no one in the family anticipates. With the next day looming, each of the wives asks herself, who will make it through the fallout, and who will be left behind? The courthouse is electric, the quiet before a lightning bolt. Anticipation hangs in the air, and each move Kody Brown makes appears deliberate, burdened with the history of the last weeks. He looks over at Robin, who sits stiffly in the front pew, her eyes red from hours of weeping, her hands clasped tightly together as if preparing herself for what will surely come. Christine's eyes are hard, unrelenting, and filled with accusations. Janelle leans forward a little, pursed lips, eyes darting between the judge and Kody, trying to guess what is about to occur. Mary is composed, her serene face covering the tempest raging within. The judge raps the gavel, and the room falls instantaneously silent. The court will now examine the evidence and testimony given during the last sessions, the judge says, voice firm but heavy. The jury will deliberate, and the court will make preliminary rulings on what has been discovered. Kody fidgets in his seat, fingers laced together, knuckles white. The revelations, accusations, and dramatic outbursts of the previous sessions are a burden to him. Each of his wives' gazes reminds him of the cracks in the family he believed he was safeguarding. Robin breathes deeply, shoulders knotted, as she remembers the pain of whispered betrayals, clandestine messages, and moments of stoic manipulation that have led them to today. Christine remains stiff, jaw clenched, her fingers tapping delicately on the armrest, a physical expression of the fury and pain seething within. The first exhibit is called by the prosecution for this session, a timeline of Kody's choices impacting each wife during the last year. The information is detailed, showing favoritism, secrecy, and emotional manipulation. Robin's eyes open wide as she reads the extent of Kody's behavior exposed. Christine leans in, fists tightened, voice low and angry, whispering to herself, "I can't believe this." The jury retires to consider their verdict, the air charged with expectation. Each wife ponders in solitude the testimony, evidence, and raw emotions they have witnessed. Robin thinks back to the quiet nights, struggling to balance her love for Kody with the infidelities she has suffered. Christine remembers the days of shock and outrage, her faith dwindling with each new disclosure. Janelle struggles with the fine line between family obligation and justice. Mary, too, whose outward demeanor has been unruffled, grapples with the ethical burden of the decisions before her. The court listens to yet another witness, a family counselor, who testifies about the emotional cost of Kody's choices on the wives and children. The emotional cost is substantial, the counselor says gently. Trust has been broken, relationships stretched, and the family dynamic changed in ways that may have lasting effects. Kody sits, shoulders hunched, face pale. He completely attempts to keep his cool, but the extent of emotional backlash becomes too much to overlook. Robin's eye confronts his for an instant, a thunderhead of grief and unanswered questions flashing across her face. Christine's glare is intractable, a wordless indictment that cuts him harder than any condemnation ever could. The court presents a sealed document found in Kody's private records. It outlines a secret plan he drafted involving solely Christine, excluding Robin, Janelle, and Mary. The news is explosive. Christine's eyes open, shock turning to anger. "How could you do this behind our backs?" she asks, voice shaking but firm. Robin's lips compress, an expression of hurt and disbelief on her face. Janelle leans back slightly, exhaling through her nose, while Mary's composed face betrays the faintest twitch of disapproval. The prosecution lays out financial records and communications showing preferential treatment. Each piece of evidence fuels the emotional fire, driving tension higher. Robin bites her lip to hold back tears. Christine's hands tremble as she grips the table, and Janelle's eyes narrow, absorbing the gravity of Kody's choices. Flashbacks integrate seamlessly, revealing Kody's inner moments, clandestine talks, whispered vows, and choices taken in secrecy from the rest of the family. The viewer is drawn into the quiet deceptions that constructed the emotional terrain of the courtroom. Each little lie adds to the hurt. The cumulative, now irrevocable Robin stands, her voice trembling but firm. "I loved you, Kody," she weeps. "I trusted you. And all the decisions you made behind closed doors, it hurt me worse than I can say." Her words echo through the hall, every syllable a blow to the tenuous equilibrium that exists. Christine steps up next, tall and unyielding. "You think keeping us safe excuses deception?" she barks. "You've crossed lines, broken vows, and yet, you expect forgiveness?" Her voice is cold, ringing in the room, a blend of anguish and outraged righteousness. Janelle intervenes, softer but assertive. "We require honesty now. Not solely from you, Kody, but from us. We can't proceed unless all is out in the open." Her entreaty, measured and serene, has impact amid the growing tempest of feelings. The jury considers in strained silence, each deliberating on evidence, testimony, and emotional resonance. The wives sit and wait, hearts racing, each caught up in their own thoughts and musings. Robin's mind recycles all the secret messages and broken vows. Christine's mind spirals with betrayal and rage. Janelle silently argues decisions. Mary considers tactics, the calm below the raging emotions. Lastly, the jury enters the courtroom again. The air is charged, the room seeming to hum with expectation. The judge demands quiet, and all eyes are on the jury foreperson. "Has the jury reached a preliminary verdict?" the judge queries. The foreperson nods. "Yes, Your Honor," they reply, voice steady but filled with the weight of their decision. "We have, based on the evidence and testimonies presented." Kody's hands clench together in his lap. Robin exhales slowly, her body taut with tension. Christine's glare intensifies, unwavering and searing. Janelle leans slightly forward, bracing for impact. Mary's eyes remain focused, betraying nothing yet observing everything. The foreperson starts to read out the preliminary findings, describing the jury's evaluation of Kody's behavior, the emotional harm inflicted, and the habits of secrecy and favoritism that have destabilized the family structure. The wives take it all in, feelings oscillating between heartbreak, rage, and incredulity. Kody's complexion is white, his hands slightly shaking as the burden of judgment falls upon him. Robin presses a hand to her chest, tears spilling freely. Christine's shoulders tense as she listens, a storm of fury and sorrow reflected in her gaze. Janelle exhales, her lips pressed tightly together, while Mary's composed exterior gives nothing away. The judge pauses, letting the weight of the moment sink in. Cody's gaze flickers toward his wives, silently pleading for understanding, forgiveness, and perhaps redemption. Robin turns away, her eyes blurred by tears. Christine's jaw clamps shut, the flame of betrayal flaring into life. Janelle and Mary share mute glances, each considering the consequences of what has been said. As the session closes, the courtroom gradually empties. Whispers echo down the hallways, cameras snap final looks, and employees exchange troubled glances. Outside, the wives step away into private pockets, each fighting the emotional aftermath. Robin dabs at tears with shaky hands. Christine blows out sharply through her nose. Janelle's eyes furrow in consideration, and Mary clasps hands, calculating her next steps. Cliffhanger. With the doors closing, Kody gets an unexpected note. One last piece of proof that might change the family's destiny forever and set off fires no one expects. The family holds their breath for the next installment, aware that nothing will ever be the same again.